Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today guys we're going to be talking about something that's going to be happening tomorrow that might change the course of British politics. And what am I on about? The Hamilton by-election. Now, this is going to be an interesting case of elections because despite me not talking about the local elections for a while, there's been a few of them actually in the UK. The Hamilton by-election might be the one that changes the course of the politics in Scotland, and as well as the case in Britain as a whole. Now, how do I say this? How do I maybe predict this could happen? Well, there's a few factors at play. Well, first of all, I'll just make the one that's obvious. Reform UK. Reform UK has been doing really well, despite me having the grievances I have with the party and all the things that they do. Moving on. They have really good momentum going with them right now, and we're going to have to talk about them near the end of the video because there's something a little bit funnier with them. But they've got momentum right now, and when they had the council elections in May, they literally stormed all the elections councils that they had for choice, and they destroyed the Conservatives and the Labour vote because they were the other choice, and they did really well in the promotion, marketing material, and so on and so on, and they're doing actually quite well. And now they have the Hamilton by-election. Now I have to explain where Hamilton is. Hamilton by-election is near Glasgow, but it's actually called the Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse by-election. So if you just get that clear, it's near Motherwell, and it's actually quite a run-down area. And just like many of the local small towns in the central belt of Scotland, there hasn't really been much choice for the local people to vote differently. And I would say the people's opinion about politicians and governments in that for the last 20 years is slowly changing. Very slowly. Scotland has always been behind the curve on every fucking issue. Honest to God, they are, and it's worse than ever. And I think everyone now is just more fed up than ever to deal with this kind of situation. But we need to talk about Hamilton because it's interesting. And what I mean is, I don't get why this election is actually so much more important than all the other ones. There is a perspective on this I'm going to take on, but it's highly political. That is why. Because it's been highly politically motivated to encourage the UK vote, the Scottish vote, the Reform vote, the Labour vote, and the SNP vote. We're not even talking about the Conservatives. Imagine that. The people who were in power just only over 6 months ago, or longer than that really, nearly a year ago, and yeah, they're not relevant anymore. So that's fun. But it's going to be one of the few elections that's going to be happening in Scotland, and I have to kind of tell you about all the other ones that's happening in the same month. Because the Cotani Firth in the Highlands, that's going to be on June the 19th, and there will be Ellendale Chelo, I think that's how you say it, it's on the screen anyway, it's in the Highland Council as well, and that's on the 19th of June as well, and Fulton Bridge in Kilmarnockshire, or Kilmarnock in the Edinburgh City Council is on June the 26th. Now, funny enough, no one's talked about these. No one's talking about these elections at all. Why? Don't know. But I think it's just because nobody gives a shit about them. And they're like, oh, we've got Hamilton. This one's near Glasgow. It's in the Central Belt. Because everyone talks about the Central Belt. That part between Glasgow and Edinburgh, by the way, that's what I mean. And that's the part everyone gives a shit about, and they forget all the rest that happens up north. Everyone does this. Well, there's a point to it, but doesn't matter. We do have this election coming up. What do I say what's going to happen next? Well, I did mention that before, did I not? If I did not, that's what I meant. What happens after the Hamilton by-election? like it says in the thumbnail. Well, the thing is, when all this kicks off eventually on tomorrow, the election result will be the course of how Scottish politics continues in Scotland. Does a new party like the Reform Party come along and storm the SNP's establishment base, which is usually quite there, Hamilton all the way along the Central Belt? Does the Labour Party, the governing party, who has completely fucking failed ever since power they took over to gain the support that they need, and are they just going to keep that momentum up? Because remember, when the election came on, they stole 38 seats from the SNP, and it was fucking beautiful on the election night. It couldn't have been better. But, you know, it's been a while since then, so is people going to change? Or is this a case for the SNP to keep the power? Does the SNP, after 16 plus years, get the ability to keep the momentum going, keep the lies that they keep doing, keep the amount of stuff that they do and never get caught, and keep the bureaucracy of their own little establishment keep going and running, and there will be no change? That's the question. And it's kind of funny to see how it all goes, because all three parties have problems of their own, and they're all kind of saying stupid stuff to each other, and it's kind of sad, it's kind of funny, and it's kind of pathetic. You will find this out exactly at the end of this video. I kind of have to mention who's all running in the election, this one, for the Hamilton, because there's not just 3 people, there's actually a few. I'm going to name them all. Might fuck up a few names, but I don't really care anymore. My speech impediment doesn't help. Colette Bladley for the Scottish Socialist Party, Andy Bradley for the Scottish Family Party, the one I would prefer more, but they've no chance. Ross Lambie, Scotland's candidate for the Forum, Kate Luden for the SNP, Jackie Mackay for the UK Independence Party, Anne McGuinness for the Greens, Asia Muir for the Liberal Democrats, Richard Nelson for the Conservatives, Davy Russell for the Labour Party, Mark Wilkinson for as an independent. Now, those are all the people that's actually going for the election this time around. And honestly, I don't know what the results be for those people themselves, because I know the main 3, we'll talk about the main 3, but do the Greens get a chance? Do the Socialists? Do the UKIP? I mean, everyone's caring. Even the leader of the UKIP, Nick Tenconi, popped up to Scotland. I mean, Nigel Farage is up here as well. We have to talk about that as well eventually. And what I kind of have to say is everyone's got the enthusiasm for this one. I'm going to keep showing the pictures of the different enthusiasms of all the different parties, because I think we need to talk about what's been going wrong with all these different parties. But to be frank, they've all got the momentum. The Reform has the momentum, the SNP have the momentum, and Labour have the momentum. They've all got the little sheeps of their own people who think they're amazing, and they represent everyone in the area, and it's kind of fine in their own way, and you're like, oh, good, they've actually all got support. You start losing it a little bit when you start seeing people think they're the only ones that have all the support. The result of who's actually got the support is when the election happens. I think I've had to explain that to some people, and it's a bit fucking weird. But that's not the point. So, let's try and make this understandable to people why these 3 parties might have a problem with each other. Right, so let's talk about the one I have the most grievances with, the Reform UK. Now, the Reform UK, I have actually nothing against the Ross Lambie himself. I don't even know who the guy is. He doesn't seem to be a bad egg. He seems to be one of the people who hasn't been shunned by the party for having bad opinions, or he might just be a compliable candidate, who doesn't ask questions. Because the problem in Scotland is, especially for members that I know, members themselves have been bullied, harassed, and basically told leave the party for asking questions about policy, because the forum does not have a policy, but they have a lot of marketing and motivation. But they lack building the unionist vote, the pro-UK vote. They're just kind of like, oh, support us. Come on, support us. And we're better than SNP and the establishment, but technically you are establishment now. And it's weird. And most people, if they ever think about them too far, they know what happened to Rupert Lowe, they know Nigel Farage, and those are some know about what happened to the members, where they got stabbed in the back, basically, shunned, bullied, told by management, this is from management to members, about how they're not good enough, they're not true reformers, people who've been in the party before even those people were in the party. So much things, so much backstabbing in the party. And it's really worrying moving forward. Anyway, we need to talk about the Labour Party. Is there anything we really need to say about the Labour Party? Come on. We've got Alice Sarwar, that is the leader of the Scottish Labour Party. I think we've seen enough of him about the racism stuff. And the Labour Party themselves, I think nearly every demographic in the UK fucking hates the guys. I think they hate them all. I think you've gone from the elderly to the young, to the uni people, to the environmental people, to the nationalists, to the patriots. I don't think there's a demographic they've not annoyed. So, yeah, good luck when the election comes up to that. I mean, that was a lot easier to explain, was it not? Jesus Christ. But there is also the SNP. Now, the SNP, I have not sure what my view is if I want them to lose or win on this one, because my God, it is worrying. Because they could actually win the seat. And if they win the seat, that actually proves that people don't seem to care about wanting change, but they also kind of just want to keep everything the same and not think about it too much, which is very Scottish, by the way. It seems to be part of the new norm that they like doing. But what the problem is the local candidate, Kate Luton, has actually done something really bad to the Hamilton area to actually gain the votes. And the wonder why anyone still thinks she's freaking perfect, or the SNP is perfect after doing this thing I'm going to explain to you, because I think this is the one I want to hit on the head more. This comes from the Scottish Daily Express. The SNP by-election candidate voted against £8 million for revamp of the Hamilton Town Centre. Yes, you heard that right. She turned that down. Now, the fact that you say the SNP don't care about the people they represent, this is evidence of it 1.1. And here we go again. I kind of want to read this article because this kind of shows what, like, the amount of delusion that we kind of have to deal with up here. But even shows when the Labour Party's actually been decent and they're calling the SNP out, which is a rarity. And you're like, okay, this is maybe why the Labour Party doesn't look so bad. They just look bad in England, but they look good up here. And everyone has to remember, when it comes to politics in Scotland, it's always when something happens to England, people seem to care more about, because the narrative is never pushed to what is bad next, like in their own part of the country. If there's something bad in your house, well, you need to talk about the neighbor's house because it would ignore your own problems. Just the norm up here. Sorry, let's go and read the article. So, Kate Luton urged to explain why she chose not to back the £8 million investment in the town centre as part of the Labour-run council master plan, and asked whether she would rule out 0-hour contracts for leafleters. They're cults. They're going to do whatever they like. The SNP candidate for Hamilton, Loughor and Stonehouse has been told to apologise for voting against the £8 million for the regeneration funding for the Hamilton Town Centre. I'm actually going to show you the picture of what they designed the area to look like. Some people might not like the idea. Some people do like the idea of what it looks like, but I'm just going to show you what they turned down. There's areas like this in Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Inverness, Glasgow. Some of them look bad. Some people don't like the design. But my God, you've got town centres like Cumbernauld. You've got places like Falkirk. You've got places like Hamilton themselves, Motherwell, parts of Edinburgh as well. You've got little places that are absolute shitholes. Just like that very ugly building in Cumbernauld, which is finally coming down, which is the UK's ugliest building, by the way. Look it up. It's, man. And these places do need revamped. A lot of these places have not changed since the 80s. 80s, 90s, 70s developments. And some places in Glasgow are just fucking abandoned to the drug dealers and everything. Like, revamping areas to the extent that they can do it is an ideal thing to do. So why the fuck would you be up against it? Anyway, South Lanarkshire Council worked on a 15-year plan to demolish 2/3 of the existing shops, including both shopping centres, and build 415 new homes as well as a new urban park space. Some 8 million was allocated to the project in 25-26 budget from the Labour-run local authority, with Cathy Luton as part of the SNP group who voted against the spending plans. Every time. The Canonsburg East Councillor, I think I'm saying that right, now contesting the seat just months after the second failed bid to enter Westminster, representing nearby Rotherham. The election is expected to be a two-horse race between the SNP and the Labour, although Nigel Farage's UK party represent as an unknown quantity. Mr. Farage is expecting to visit Hamilton before the polling day on June 5th. He is actually up here, and he has been doing this, coming up here as basically a political stunt to get the motivation going. But this is in England, Nigel. We'll get to him in a minute. Speaking to head of the Scottish Labour campaign launch on Friday, Deputy Leader Jackie Baillie said Cathy Luton is asking voters to trust her with a place in Scottish Parliament, but when she had the chance to stand up for Hamilton, she voted against it. Does that not hurt a little bit? Just for the normal people. She had an opportunity to back £8 million investment on the town centre and chose not to. That decision speaks volumes. It does so. Before she asked for a single vote, Cathy Luton apologised to the people of Hamilton for voting against their future. That Labour candidate David Russell, Lord Lieutenant of Lanarkshire and the former business partner of Rangers manager Barry Ferguson, added Cathy Luton had a clear choice: support the investment in the Hamilton or toe the party line. She chose the SNP over the people in our community. And to be honest, David does have quite a good backing there. And it's not like he wouldn't stand up for the people if he got the chance, just from what I've described him as there in the article. Labour said previously asked Mrs. Luton and the SNP to rule out working hours on 0-hour contracts to deliver leaflets, as they did in the Rotherham and Hamilton West by-election. They said the Nats refused to respond. And it's not exactly a shock, to be fair, because it's a cult. The whole thing's a cult. And any of their followers are just blindly following them, regardless what happens next. But you can tell from what I've said there's an actual effect of what the people and the SNP might do. So Labour could win the seat, but might by a chance. Labour have done good locally because, remember, Scotland's basically been a Labour area for a while. The Borders have been conservative, the Aberdeenshire has been conservative, and Liberal Democrats have owned the North for a long time. And there's a chance that the Labour Party might come in. But we have to talk about that third party, don't we? Nigel Farage's Reform UK. Because I think I would be doing a disservice to mention that Reform UK is really trying to get into winning the election this time. They've got the motivation. Soon as the campaigns were done in England, they were like, okay, maybe we'll just go into Scotland and start talking about it. They were super slow about it, by the way. And they're like, oh, now we care. Now we care. Nigel Farage comes to Aberdeen to announce 2 councillors. One I have an issue with because he loves Jeremy Corbyn so much. And the other guy, well, he refused to come on the podcast show because he might have been scared of me, when we were both in the Tory party. And it was kind of weird, right? There was people outside protesting, and Nigel Farage decided to go after one of the journalists that probably had nothing to do with the protest outside, because the National was there, which is a newspaper, but he decided to go after the Herald and made a scene there. I think we'll have to talk about that in a separate thing, because my gripe with that whole party is just really fucking annoying right now. It's like, I want the party to be better, but maybe there's just another hope out there. But I kind of have to show you this video of these people being desperate, trying to show we're the true voice, and just literal sheep.
Say it louder! Refugees are welcome here! Say it louder! Say it louder! Refugees are welcome here! Say it louder! Refugees are welcome here! Say it louder! Say it louder! Refugees are welcome here!
Yeah, that was desperate and sad. And I kind of have to show you this clip of the Socialist Party, who decided to go out with their own four-man squad to show how much the Scottish people were so upset by them. And Nigel Farage, the fascist party, was coming to take over the world and take Scotland down with them. And you're just like, fuck me. Just listen to the public member.
Everything is anti-decent, anti-human. That's what he is. He is a fascist. He is a fascist. He is a fascist from London. We should go back to London and never come back here again.
Goodness sake. Here.
That's what we are saying, loud and clear.
Aye, a lot of garbage too.
And we're also saying we want to see Scottish independence and Scottish freedom. And the reason is, Reform say they will never allow us to hold a referendum. Well, they can go away and they can go back down south, because we will be free and we will have independence for Scotland. Woo!
Yeah, that did not go well. And the thing is, I don't think they got the memo. Calling people Nazis and fascists these days does not work. This is not 2012 where you could scare 90% of the public by calling them racist now. That doesn't work. Calling them bigots and racists doesn't quite work as much as it used to years ago. Still, liberal people are still quite scared of the term, but it's like you start using it as a weapon tactic, it's kind of gets funny in their own way, because there was even a conference full of refugees are welcome people, the people that's using placards from 10 years ago, to say how bad Nigel Farage was, and all anyone can do is just laugh, because they're like, oh, we hate Nigel Farage. It's like, you live in a country with hate crimes, supported by you, by the way, and it's kind of funny. It's funny in their own way, because they're like, did you not get the memo? And plus, where the Force for Good actually did cover all those people that were speaking in that specific event were paid by us, the taxpayer. So we're paying for people to hate other people. I mean, I have my grievances with Nigel Farage, but this just kind of says, oh, maybe I'll just vote for them. Because that's what you might be doing, people. You keep telling everyone, don't vote for the fascists, don't vote for the haters, and don't vote for the racists. And people might just say, you know what, fuck it, I might just vote for the Reform. It backfires. But, let's see how the election goes. But I think there's a chance that Reform might not win. But they're all up here. They all want to be speaking. They all want to give their promotions up. So let's see how it goes. But to be honest, the SNP might win and they might deserve it. So I'm going to leave you the end of this video here with another little video of what the public sound like, because this just says a lot. This is proper Scottish people, like you could tell as soon as it gets played, of what do people actually think when it comes to the election? These are people from the area themselves, and this will be interesting when it happens. So thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Reform.
It's absolutely a blinking disgrace,
To be quite honest, don't really believe anything any of them tell us.
I'm Molly, I'm here with Record Politics, and we're here in Hamilton to find out what people think about the upcoming by-election. So there's a local election coming up. Do you know who you might be voting?
I'd probably vote for Reform.
Why is that?
Just the state the country's getting in the new. I think the country's lost a lot of its same heritage.
The way the SNP have mismanaged the affairs, particularly in recent years, puts me off them.
Do you know who you might be voting for?
Nobody.
Why is that?
Because they're all the same, hen. I used to vote Labour years ago, and assuming they get in and all that, they promise you this, that they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and assuming they get in, they do bugger all.
I wouldn't be voting Labour. I think, I don't know, I think Reform, to be honest. I know that's no for a local election, but...
They are standing here.
Oh, are they?
They're putting up Ross Lambie.
I think maybe Ross Lambie then, because something needs to change, because I wouldn't be voting for SNP or Conservative right now, or Labour. So that's who I would be voting for, I think. To be quite honest, don't really believe anything any of them tell us.
Why is that?
Well, they're all telling lies. I mean, it's constant. They promise one thing, it never happens, and there's no changes. Nothing has improved. Look at the town centre here.
To be honest, I don't trust any politician now, and I don't think I would vote for any of them, because I just feel once they get into power, whatever they say, once they get into power, it never happens.
They're all lying to you. SNP lied, and then the Labour aren't doing very much. I know a lot of folk are hating Starmer when he came in, and he didn't seem to be doing much for the country, the UK as a whole. So I think Reform's the way forward for Scotland and the UK.